Hello! Today I'm going to talk about, could you be with anyone? So, it's been a long time since I read or consumed any Alain De Botton material, but I think he's written a bunch about love, and he's got, I can't remember if it's a lecture or an essay or even a whole book called, I can't remember what it's actually called, but something like You Could Be With Anyone. Why You Could Be With Anyone. Something like that. And I mostly remember agreeing with his propositions, but it's been a while, so I'm going to give you my take. I was trying to explain this to a friend last night, that's why it's been on my mind, and I feel like I struggled. So this is a good way to figure out how to talk about this. I'm going to give you my take, my very brief take on love and, you know, whether there's such thing as like your soulmate and that kind of thing. So from what I can remember, Mr. Botton is kind of responding to some more romantic notions we have about love that might be a bit destructive in current Western society. So I think I'll stop speaking for Alain De Botton because I just don't really remember that well, but I'll speak for myself. I think I see the issue of believing that love should be intense is the first problem. While it often happens that way, and I've definitely been in love and had very intense experiences associated with that, including when I got with my current partner Alice, who's my fiance, by the way. But I think there's a problem with assuming that when you meet the person who's right for you, there will be intense sort of physiological signaling that you'll just have this amazing feeling of being drawn to them. Because I think that does happen, that may happen with people who you really probably shouldn't be with. Apparently there are certain people who just give a spark to everyone. I was listening to, I've forgotten her name, someone talk about this recently. Maybe I'll link to the talk I heard. This lady works for Hinge, but she was talking about how there are people, and there sometimes they can certainly be narcissists and sociopaths who spark everyone. Everyone who meets them feels like they're falling in love with them because they're just charismatic and good looking and have probably some sort of pheromonal component. Like they probably just smell really good. They smell like they got good genes, something like that. And so you meet these people and you're just like, oh my goodness, we're having a connection. And they very well might not be your soulmate, because if they're sparking with everyone, everyone can't be their soulmate. So that's a bit of a problem. And also, I think plenty of people just grow together very slowly. And so you can actually, I suspect you can build an experience of deep love from somewhere that's much milder. You just kind of like each other, you know, maybe you're friends for a number of years, and eventually you try kissing or whatever, and it's good, and you can build from there until you've built a relationship that sort of is like a positive feedback system of love, of like, yeah, positive emotion and a sense of sort of maybe security and history and all that you participate in together. That can become more and more wonderful as you be together. But these two hypothetical people wouldn't have gotten a big signal at the beginning that they were meant to be life partners. So that's the problem with assuming that there should be really intense emotions associated with it. And then there's also the idea that you should feel, you know, strong love for your partner all the time, which is another pretty ridiculous myth, because no one's capable, I think, of feeling strong love all the time. Even a saint isn't feeling strong love for their Lord all the time, but they're made saintly by their reactions to the absence of that. That is to say that if you have a long-term partner, you will fight with them, or you will have conflict. People have different definitions for the word fight, but you're different people, and so you have to sort things out, and occasionally you're going to disagree, at least occasionally, maybe very regularly. It might even be good, it might be fun to disagree with your partner, but certainly it's necessary sometimes, because otherwise you will grow resentful of each other, because you'll rub each other the wrong way over and over and over. You've got to sort that out. And so when you're involved in conflict, especially if you're conflict averse, conflict sensitive, like I certainly am, you're going to have negative emotions during conflict. You're going to be angry and sad and hurt and scared and all these things. And while you're feeling that, you're not going to feel strong love for your partner. Or that's not going to be something that's very salient in your consciousness. Even if, like, this does seem to be true, that people are capable of a kind of a narrative sense, a sense of overarching love for people, of unconditional love for their children, for example, even if they're really angry at their children, or their partner. They can say, you know, I hate you within the context of loving you unconditionally or whatever. But when you're in the midst of hating someone, the assumed love that you feel for them is pretty distant, or it can be. And so, for example, if me and my partner, her name's Alice, if me and Alice decided that every time we felt a flagging of that deep love for each other because we were in conflict, if we felt that every time that happened, that was a sign that we weren't meant to be together, we would not be together, because that happens all the time. But so far, we've been able to always resolve it, because we've sort of built a greater context in which we've decided to be together forever, and it's not really negotiable, the being togetherness. We have to negotiate within that, which creates this pressure cooker where we both have to improve in order to coexist. And I've certainly found, this is what's wonderful about long-term partnership, is I've certainly found that I feel like I improve outside of our relationship as well as within it, due to the pressures of insisting on being with one person for a long time. We've been together 6 years, so I think that's enough time to start experiencing this pressure cooker effect, which is wonderful. It's one of the arguments, I would say, for life partnership or long-term partnership, which I'm a big advocate for. You may notice that this whole video happens in the context of the assumption that long-term partnership is worthwhile and a good thing, and I really think it is. It has certainly been for me. As I said, I think it's made me a much better person, and it's certainly, it's probably not for everyone, but it saves time, for example, because if you're interested in spending your life doing things that aren't, chasing after romantic partners, and which is fun. So like if that is really something you decide to spend your life, or spend a significant portion of your time doing, more power to you. But if you've decided that that you have other priorities in life, then having a partner cuts out all that time that you would otherwise spend courting people, which is great. If you're trying to, for example, for my example, trying to do a lot of creative work and stuff like that. It's also, if you want to raise kids, kids do seem to benefit from the stability of a long-term, having the same parents their whole life, say. At least the data suggests this. The data. I'm not going to refer to which data. I don't actually know that much about it. I should probably check, but that's what I understand. Obviously, parents who stay together and are utterly miserable and enraged all the time, having parents like that, even though they're long-term, is probably not great. Anyway, to finish up, I really just covered what this "you could be with anyone" proposal was responding to. So these beliefs that modern society has that I think are a bit problematic. But yeah, I do think that, to conclude, that if you are, fairly sexually attracted to someone and get along, and they don't have any, they don't have a sort of, they're basically a healthy human, so, you can get along with someone really well and be sexually attracted, but then if they have schizophrenia that's only getting worse, that's obviously something you want to take into account. But generally speaking, if you've got sexual chemistry and you like each other, I suspect you could figure out how to be together long term. And that's once you've figured out how to be together long term a little bit, it just starts becoming more and more wonderful and feeling more and more like you were indeed meant to be together, which is interesting and lovely. But yeah, I think you could be with many people. Probably not everyone, because you're probably not sexually attracted to everyone, and probably don't get along with everyone. But if you can get along and be sexually attracted, I suspect that you could be with that person with whom you have those two things going, and then it does become like, or I think it has the potential to become a positive feedback loop, where after you've made it, say, a year together, then you might make it past the limerence period. Say it seems to be a documented phenomenon, and certainly people talk about the honeymoon period, which is the same thing. This limerence period, I think it's from between 6 and 18 months after you've gotten together with a romantic partner. You have this experience of deep connection. You just have this crazy sort of, I guess, chemical rush in various ways. People actually behave in ways that they report behaving in ways that are, I think, technically sort of manic. That is, people tend to be able to go with less sleep and tolerate more, more unpleasant stuff in order to be with their partner and just report life being better and more intense and blah 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 for about that long. And then that starts to dwindle by about the 18-month mark, I think. Well, from 6 months onwards it might dwindle. I think that's the idea. And things change, and I vaguely remember that happening to Alice and me, and we had to sort of work to establish new ways of being together because it was a bit different. But since then, we've been able to keep working at it, keep trying to discover more things about each other, keep going on dates, keep making sure we discuss hard stuff, that we address issues we have, all this, so that we can really build a relationship. And so now, after 6 years of working on it, it really feels like, maybe it's just sunk cost bias, but it really feels like, I feel like I've never met anyone that would have suited me so well. And maybe that's true, who knows? But I suspect really it's that a deep sense of meaning is created between you as a pair when you've invested that much time in understanding each other and understanding the world as a couple, as sort of standing in the same part of the park that is the world, standing on the same square of pavement. There's this amazing sense of meaning created by that, and growth and all that. Anyway, I feel like this was more rambly than the last time I did this, unfortunately, but maybe I fit in a few more ideas. But to conclude, I suspect that it's a mistake to spend too much time sort of shopping around if you found someone who you think you might be able to make it work with. Dive in, off you go. Go get married. Lots of love.